hard copy.
Mike Ditka, we've got a great game in bare weather.
Well, you've got two teams that are in first place. I mean, you're playing for what's important in the National Football League. You've got two guys coming back from Dallas. You're going to see how they can play today. But the factor in this game is going to be this football field. It looks like a nice rink out there. I don't think the footing's going to be very good. It'd be very hard for me to believe anybody's going to score a lot of points.
All right, we'll talk more about how it will affect the game, but as Mike has alluded to, the key question is the health of the Cowboys' two biggest stars, Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. Aikman, as you know, pulled his left hamstring 2.5 weeks ago on this scramble against the Giants. He sat out the Cowboys' past two games, including last Sunday's loss in Atlanta. Meanwhile, Emmitt Smith had to be helped off the field last week in Atlanta after suffering a deep bruise in his right quadricep, the muscle just above the knee. With a report on both players now, we go down to the field and Will McDonough. Happy Thanksgiving, Will.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Jim, and everybody else. The good news today for the Dallas Cowboys is that Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith will start, but with their injuries in this weather, Jimmy Johnson is concerned about whether they can finish. Here is Jimmy's assessment.
The Emmitt situation with the bruised quad, I don't think he's going to aggravate the injury now. We just have to see what he can do. If he can go and be effective, we're going to let him play quite a bit. Play the other two guys, Coleman and Lassick, a little bit. If he's unable to go, then obviously the other two will get the whole bulk of the running game. As far as Troy's injury, we've talked about it. We've told him, said, hey, you got to make sure that you play smart, throw the ball away. We can't have you running full speed because he hasn't run full speed since he had the hamstring pull.
One thing that also bothered Jimmy Johnson was the crowd will not be here today. I was watching the early game with him in his box. They interrupted with a weather bulletin telling everybody to stay home, so he feels the home crowd, in a way, is taken out of the game for the Dallas Cowboys here today. So now for a report on Miami, let's go to O.J. Simpson across the field.
Well, all the talk about Miami is who's playing quarterback. It's not Marino, it's not Scott Mitchell, it's 39-year-old Steve DeBerg. I was able to catch up with Don Shula moments ago and asked him, has DeBerg been able to digest this Miami offense?
We've had to cut it down quite a bit, but by the same token, we have enough where we feel that we're comfortable with it. You can cut it down too far, and then you don't have enough to utilize the weapons that you have. It's important for us to get the ball into the hands of Keith Jackson, Keith Byers, Fryer, our skilled people.
Now, the biggest concern right now is footing with the condition of this field, and here are some of the cleats that they're talking about wearing. Now, this is your normal AstroTurf shoe. As you can see, it's flat. The problem there, they're slippery. They can hydroplane on the slick spots on this field, so they're going to wear this cleat. It's pointed. It gives them a lot more traction. But if this field continues to get bad and it stops snowing and it freezes over, expect to see some tennis shoes out here before this game's over. Now, let's go up to a couple of guys that don't have to worry about their footing. Jim and Mike Dick up there where it's warm.
That's right. We can barely stand anyway, O.J. More on DeBerg and the Dolphins in a moment. But you told us this past Sunday that Smith is the key offensive player in the whole league. What about him on a bad leg on this field?
Well, it depends on the leg. If the leg's bad, he's not going to be effective anyways, Jim. But if the leg is okay, I don't know how effective he can be. They do a lot of push blocking. They run what we call the lead draw. They push people off the ball. That could be effective. I just don't see you getting good footing. He's not going to be able to cut back and forth, so it's going to be more of a straight-ahead power running game.
All right, we'll look for that in a key game for both teams. The Dolphins at 8-2, tied with Buffalo atop the AFC East. The Bills have a tough one coming up this Sunday at Kansas City. Meanwhile, the Cowboys were 7-3, deadlocked with the Giants in the NFC East after having lost to the Falcons, as we mentioned 4 days ago. The men who will call the game for us, Dick Enberg and Bob Trumpy. Happy Thanksgiving, gentlemen.
And to you, Jim, and it gives us a chance to wave like the players do. Say hi, Mom, to Mary and Trumpy down in Springfield, Illinois, and Belle up in Bay City, Michigan, and to all the women who make this holiday special and remind us of the blessings that we all enjoy. And for these two teams, they're all smiles. They both are legitimate Super Bowl teams. They're both aimed for Atlanta in January.
Yeah, Dick, they've got the attitude. Even with the injuries, anytime you talk to Miami Dolphins players or coaches, they can sense, even though they're on their fourth starting quarterback and Steve DeBerg, that they've got the pieces in place. They can win without Marino. They've done that. They've got an excellent running game. Miami feels very positive. And the same is true of the Dallas Cowboys. Even with all the problems they had early in the season without Emmitt Smith, with the injuries, they still have the right attitude. I look for both of these teams to certainly be in the playoffs, and if everybody gets healthy on both sides, they might be in Atlanta.
Mike Ditka said that he doesn't think there'll be a lot of scoring, but you, as an offensive player, like this kind of field.
Oh, absolutely. A field like this always favors the offense. It's always very difficult to react, and that's the defensive side of the ball. It does take away a lot of what you can do, and special teams on a field like this, catching punts, making sure the ball doesn't bounce, good snaps, the premier thing in a game on a field like this.
Which team does it favor?
Actually, I think it favors Miami because of the pulled muscles that Mike Dick talked about on the Dallas side of the ball.
All right, a great Thanksgiving fare for you as we go back to Jim Lampley.
All right, thanks, Dick and Bob. This has been, as you know, a tough time for the Dolphins' great quarterback, Dan Marino. Finished for the season after having ruptured his Achilles tendon more than 6 weeks ago. O.J. talked to him.
Thanksgiving has always been a special day to play on. How difficult is it going to be not to be able to play?
Well, I was looking forward to that because, you know, everybody's watching, and it's going to be difficult regardless because I'm not going to be able to play for the whole year. And then in games like that, Monday Night Football, you know, Thanksgiving, and the special games, and hopefully the playoffs, that's just going to be more difficult, definitely.
Any special memories when you were a kid watching this Thanksgiving Day game?
Yeah, believe it or not, I was playing basketball at the University of Pittsburgh gymnasium with a friend of mine, and his dad had a TV watching game 277 yards on Thanksgiving Day. I remember that one.
I like him remembering this one. Yeah. Let's talk about yourself, though. In looking at your life and your career, and here it is Thanksgiving, what do you feel most thankful for?
Well, I think, you know, that God blessed me with the ability to fulfill a dream, to be a professional athlete, and to play for 10 years and not really have any major injuries and be able to enjoy the game that way. You know, when you sit back on Thanksgiving and having a great family and all, it's something you have to be thankful for.
Mike, what role does Dan Marino play for the Dolphins today, and what about your take on DeBerg?
Well, he's got leadership, he's got class, he's got character. He's important to that football team, whether he's playing on the field or not. I think Don Shula counts on him for his support and what he's going to give Steve DeBerg. He's going to help Steve DeBerg on that sideline, point some things out to him when he sees him. Dan's a great guy to have around.
All right, in the early game today, Chicago tightened things up in a big way in the NFC Central. The Bears beating the Lions 10-6. Barry Sanders of the Lions sat out much of the game with a bum knee. Chicago has now won 3 in a row, all of them on the road. And here's the updated NFC Central picture. Green Bay can tie Detroit with a victory at home against Tampa Bay this weekend. The Bears, as you see, just 1 game back. And what about your successor, Dave Wanstedt, as a candidate for Coach of the Year?
Well, he's done an outstanding job. He's got those guys playing defense. I mean, they are playing defense the way the Bears played it years ago, and it's interesting to see because you don't need a great offense when you play defense that way. It almost looked like Detroit was afraid to play offense against them out there. Every chance they had a chance to do something, Chicago just took the football away from them or stopped them flat. It's a great tribute to him and his coaching staff and what they've done with that football team.
Tremendous game for the Bears front 7 today. Coming up, we'll bring you the story of Cowboy wide receiver Michael Irvin and his extended family.
The Irvin family would like to wish Michael, the Cowboys, and everyone a very happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving!
I would like to wish you and yours a happy Thanksgiving from me and my Irvin family, big as it may be. God bless you.
The Cowboys Pro Bowl wideout having another sensational season. He'll visit with O.J. next on NFL Live.
NFL Live is brought to you by Hager Wrinkle-Free Cotton Pants, 100% cotton, 0% wrinkles. By Hertz, for business, for pleasure. Nobody does it exactly like Hertz. And by Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time.
Hi, Super Dave Osborne here, getting ready to roll across the country, singing the praises of these great-looking Hager Wrinkle.
Pregame warm-ups and was shaky for a few minutes after he got up. Cowboy wide receiver Michael Irvin, meanwhile, is having another Pro Bowl year, leading the NFL with 890 yards receiving. Michael Irvin is one of 17 children, many of whom will be here in Dallas watching today. He's got a lot to be thankful for. O.J. Simpson has that story.
Jim, Thanksgiving is a time for family. Last 3 years, I haven't been with my family because I've been on assignment for NFL Live, anywhere from Saudi Arabia to Detroit. This year, my family is here joining me, and right now standing here is my son, Justin Ryan. Say happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving!
For Michael Irvin, there's always been plenty of family. He's the 15th of 17 kids, and at times there wasn't enough food on his Thanksgiving table, and at times it didn't appear as if he would escape the poverty of growing up in Fort Lauderdale in South Florida. These days, for Michael Irvin and his family, things are going just fine.
To most, a vision of Fort Lauderdale is that of beauty and serenity, a tropical paradise. But these were Michael Irvin's visions. His Fort Lauderdale was anything but serene, anything but paradise.
When I go places and I speak, you speak to kids, you tell them a little bit about your background and where you're from and everything, so they can understand where you're coming from. And you always say, I tell them, I say, I'm 1 of 17. They say, oh, like, ooh, boy, we feel sorry for you. But I'm like, no, don't feel sorry for me, because it was a great experience.
When you're in that situation, are you aware, I mean, that you're poor? Are you aware that, well, you see things you don't have, but do you think, hey, I'm poor and is it a depressing thing?
The thing is, I still don't know if we were poor. I look back now and look at the way I'm living now. I say, yeah, those was hard times, But then by the same token, somebody else may look at us and say, man, they had it all.
Look at them Pearls, famous hamburgers. They are famous. I scraped up food and everything I cooked, I would stretch it, to make a big meal out of it. That's why they call my hamburgers famous hamburgers. I was only stretching the hamburgers, adding so much to it, to make it good and stretch it for a bit. But we had a lot of fun after we all can settle down and eat, and Mike always got most of all. He was a big eater.
So this is your lobster man now.
Yeah.
And when you're a kid, down in Florida, lobsters are inexpensive.
Yeah, but you haven't had lobster unless you hate lobster here. How you doing, Al? All right. How you doing, Al?
See now, this is something I bet you never saw in Fort Lauderdale.
This is a lobster also now. This is what a lobster looks like when you want to eat.
Walter Irvin was a roofer by trade and gave Sunday sermons in this tiny church. He was stricken by cancer while Michael was in high school. His death left a lasting impact on his son's life.
He is just like his father. He walked like him. 10 years I missed him, so I could just see Mike on the field, and I could see him in Michael. And that's a lot of consolation to me, because I really loved my husband, and he loved me and those kids, so that we had a lot of fun together,
My father was a strong man. I mean, he's a disciplinary, he's strong, he wanted to be sure he's head of the family, and that's the way he's always is. He take care of the family. And I remember sitting in the doctor's office one time, and I remember him saying, Doc, I don't know how much longer I can take this. And the doctor said, what is Mr. Irvin, the pain? Is the pain that great? He said, no, I just, I don't like my family seeing me in this way. It was then that I looked and I said, geez, my father's going through a lot for us, and, what am I doing? What am I doing to take care of my family or to do for my family? And it was basically then I decided, hey, this is my job. It was his job, but it's my job to make sure I take care of my family now.
The responsibility of taking care of the family has meant buying his mother, Pearl, a new home, complete with a swimming pool and a satellite dish, so that the entire family can watch all of Michael's games.
Hey, y'all know it's third down. Y'all know who get the ball on third down? Playmaker. Here come Mike, y'all. Here you go. Here come Mike. Here you go.
Anything my mother wants, she could have. She knows that she's done her time.
What do you feel most thankful and grateful for this Thanksgiving?
The love. The love that coming up in such a big family, and having that kind of a love. And where we come up in such a big family and things aren't always great and don't always go your way. It could have caused a lot of problems, a lot of dissension and everything, but we didn't have that. My mother and my father was the best super glue in the world, and they kept everything together. And I definitely appreciate that.
I had a lot of bad breaks growing, raising the kids up. And this is the way God is just smiling and saying, Pearl, a job well done.
Yes, God has smiled deservingly on Pearl Irvin. Happy Thanksgiving to all the Irvins and to all of you. Jim?
All right, thanks very much, O.J. Mike, you heard Bob Trumpy talk about receivers' advantages on a field like this. Irvin and Harper, bigger and stronger than the Miami defensive backs.
I agree with that, and I agree with what Bob's saying. The offense does have the advantage, but on a field like this, none of us have ever played on a field like this, Jim. This is different. This is an AstroTurf field. It's not grass, and it's ice and snow on top of it. Nobody's going to keep your footing. The one thing about the receivers, if they go back on their heels, they're finished. They must stay on the balls of their feet. If they lean back on their heels, their feet will come right out from under you. So, you know, you say it's an advantage, but I don't know if we've ever played on this field, so I don't know if it's an advantage for anybody.
Right, and it isn't technically snow, it's sleet, so it's wet, perhaps even slipperier than snow would be. We'll see what happens after a commercial break, though. Mike and I'll be joined by a former teammate of Mike Ditka's, Cowboy great Roger Staubach. First, though, a couple of former Eagles turned Dolphins give their thanks.
I'm Keith Byers. I'd like to wish my wife Margaret and my daughter Taylor a happy Thanksgiving and the whole Byers family.
Hi, I'm Keith Jackson of the Miami Dolphins, and happy Thanksgiving. I hope everybody's enjoying this stuff, eating potato pie right now, because I'm out here on the field struggling.
Where are you headed?
Super Bowl.
Get in.
Hey, it's a nice jacket.
Thanks. Nice shoes.
AVAX, official footwear and apparel.
Hey, what's in that?
There are many, many infants and young children.
Hi, I'm John Offord of the Miami Dolphins, and love to thank my wife on this Thanksgiving Day, along with my baby Alexandra and my newborn coming up in December.
Hi, I'm Troy Aikman, and I want to wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving.
The Dolphins and the Cowboys, two of the best teams in the league now. Back in the early 70s, the Cowboys and the Dolphins were also two of the best teams in the NFL. They met in Super Bowl VI. Dallas won it 24-3. The final touchdown was this Roger Staubach to Mike Ditka's 7-yard touchdown pass. Roger was the game's most valuable player. Mike Ditka at that moment was pretty psyched. And right now we are joined live in the booth by the man who threw that pass, Roger Staubach. Everybody knows what you did for the Cowboys over the years. What, in the few years that he played here, did Mike do for the team?
Mike really, first of all, he made that catch, and he was, but the motivational side, Mike was a team player. In fact, I do a little speaking nowadays about teamwork, and Mike is an example of someone that, when he hit the field, he gave everything for his teammates. So I think he and Herb Adderley, adding some of those veterans to our football team, help us get to that Super Bowl and win it.
Yeah, I'm sure you had to fire Staubach up to play, right?
I tell you, he's unbelievable. You know, him and I were rookies with the Cowboys together, so I watched his, as I would say, progress through the years, and it was a tremendous amount of progress. Here's a guy who made himself what he became. I believe that.
What do you expect to see on this field, Roger? It's something unlike we've ever seen in Irving.
Well, this field opened in '71, and I've never seen a playing surface like this. But at Aikman, I think it's a passing field. Aikman is a great quarterback with receivers, and when you have a slippery field, it's really an advantage to the offense. I think Mike said earlier there might not be a lot of scoring, but I think Aikman's going to open up throwing the football, and Dallas's passing game, I think, is going to make the difference today.
Here's another one who expects to see him throwing it around today, Mike.
I agree that the advantage is for the offense, but we've never played on this kind of field. It's going to be hard for them to keep their footing. And if they go back on their heels, like I said, they're going to be on their butts.
All right. Roger, thanks very much for spending time with us. Mike, of course, was happy to see you one more time. Maybe he gets another touchdown catch in the Super Bowl if the two of you can play again, huh?
It's great being with Mike.
All right.
Thank you, Roger.
Pleasure to have you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. We will be back with our picks of the week right after these upcoming messages. Torn medial collateral ligament, out 3 to 4 weeks. Now to the business of today's game. Juicy, you go first.
Well, I know Emmett wants to play because he wants to catch Barry and lead the league in rushing. They're full strength. I'm taking the Cowboys 31-21.
Whoa, a lot of points. How about you?
Well, I don't look to go with the Cowboys now that the juice has, but I think they'll win the game. I like a 21-3 and a lot of turnovers in the ball game.
All right, Mike, how do you feel?
I couldn't go against the Cowboys at home. I don't know. It's going to be a close game. I'm going to say 17-10.
Make it 4. Cowboys win the game 24-13. We will be back at halftime to talk with Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. The Miami Dolphins against the Dallas Cowboys on that field in Irving, Texas, coming up right after these messages from your local station.
Mother of a mighty brood, blessed to all tongues and dear to every blood. The beautiful,
the strong, and best of all, the good America. James Russell Lowell's words still echo true, especially today as across this great country, we pause to reflect, to give thanks. For most of this century, we've set a place at our holiday table for the NFL, and already this year, so much has been shared. The strong, the elite, the Dallas Cowboys celebrating the rewards, the joy of a Super Bowl championship. Is it destined to come again? Today, Jimmy Johnson's team takes another step back toward the NFL summit. Maybe we should all give thanks for being fortunate enough to witness possibly the greatest coach to ever command the sidelines. Don Shula has amassed more victories than any other. Now his Dolphins meet Johnson's Cowboys on that same super path. A path woven into the fabric of this holiday. A time for reflection, a time for giving thanks, a time for football. On this Thanksgiving Day at Texas Stadium, the path to the Super Bowl for these two outstanding teams is an icy one. Chill factor around 0, temperature on the field 26 degrees, sleet in this weather storm that has struck central Texas. The Dolphins and the Cowboys, and we welcome you on this Thanksgiving Day. Dick Enberg along with Bob Trumpy, two marquee teams, and lots of hopes being realized and dreams, and one belonged to a man almost 40 years of age, too old to play professional football. Steve DeBerg quarterbacks the Miami Dolphins today.
Dick, he was unemployed 2 weeks ago. He was in Tampa, comes to Miami. When he got off the bus this morning, all he had on was a short sleeve shirt. He had no jacket whatsoever. But he said he comes to Miami and he is looking at and now playing with the best offense he has ever been a part of. Now this is the 6th team he's ever played for. One of them was San Francisco. He thinks this is better than San Francisco's offense.
Better wide receivers, he said, and he likes the way that offensive line is constructed to protect the passer. Now let's go to the Dallas Cowboys. When healthy, everyone says, hey, Super Bowl, chance to repeat the title win in January at the Rose Bowl, but not today. Not today. They're not healthy with Troy Aikman coming off the hamstring, trying to do what he can for the offense. Jimmy Johnson told us he encouraged Troy, throw the ball away. Don't run with it. And with the case of Emmitt Smith, he practiced yesterday in the offensive part of the practice, tried to stretch out his thigh as best he could. But in the last 4 days, 2 trainers have lived with Emmitt Smith, giving him treatment on that bruised thigh every waking moment to try to get him ready. Cowboys won the toss and will receive. We should point out, as you can see, the snow sweeper trying to clear at least the yard lines, that anywhere there is paint, like the blue star in the center of the field, or the numbers that mark the stripes, it is very treacherous. So we'll see some slipping and sliding whenever athletes hit anything that's painted. That's rock ice. Kevin Williams, who played at the University of Miami, and Brock Marion are deep for Dallas. Marion, a rookie from Nevada, Reno, and we're underway on Stoyanovic's spinner. To Williams at the 7. Gingerly moving, fumbles, and recovers his fumble at the 26-yard line. And as you said, Bob Trumpy, special teams could decide this game. Here come the Cowboys, and Troy Aikman coming back after the hamstring injury suffered 2.5 games ago. And these are the men who will protect him well today. You can be sure that's the charge from Jimmy Johnson, Tuanay Newton, Stepnoski, Gogan, and Williams. The backfield for Dallas. Emmitt Smith does start. Darrell Johnston, so versatile. Irvin and Harper, brilliant outside, and Jay Novacek was led all tight ends and catches in the 90s. Williams comes in when they go 3 wide. From the 26, Aikman comes out throwing. And it's off the fingertips of Michael Irvin on the far sidelines. Defense for Miami. Cross is having another terrific year, 10.5 sacks. Klingbeil tough against the run. Golick, the ex-Eagle, Marco Coleman. Hollier replaces Grimsley, outside linebacker. Offerdahl returns. He came back actually last week. And Brian Cox, mighty tough, a Pro Bowler. Vincent and Brown on the corners. Williams and Oliver at safety. And those are the men that really are going to see the pressure. Vesky Jackson, the nickelback, because their footing so treacherous when they don't know where that receiver's going. 2nd and 10. Emmitt Smith tries that sore quadriceps muscle, and really didn't have much burst, did he? And Brian Cox celebrates the tackle.
Dick, what Dallas is trying to find out here in the initial stages is, can Emmitt Smith carry the ball like Emmitt Smith normally can? He can fill 2 roles today. He can either carry the ball and be the normal Emmitt Smith, or he can be a decoy. Miami on the other side of the ball trying to figure out the same thing. Is it the real Emmitt Smith, or is it the decoy Emmitt Smith?
And if it isn't the real Smith, then they can adjust their whole defensive scheme to stop the outside receiver and not focus on the running game. 3rd and long for Aikman. Through the fingertips of Michael Irvin again. So 2 passes, Irvin unable to pull in either. And on the first Dallas possession, 3 and out. On to kick is John Jett, who leads the NFL in net punting yardage, over 40 a kick.
Dick, already look what they're trying to do here. They're trying to, as best they possibly can, zone these outside guys. So it's difficult for Aikman to hit the big receivers on this team, Harper and Irvin. Neither one of these coaches know what their teams can do at this point. They're just out there guessing.
John Jett, a year ago, he was selling copying machines in Greenville, North Carolina. Talk about giving thanks. He delivers a beautiful kick, and a flag is down. Jett was hit as he delivered the ball. O.J. McDuffie, the rookie from Penn State, out of bounds, but it looks as if this is coming back, and Dallas will get a first down on the penalty, or is it running into or a personal foul? If it's a personal foul, it's a first down. If it's running into with that good a kick, Dallas may decline the penalty. Bill Bates, the acting captain. It was running into the kicker, 5-yard penalty. So Jimmy says, hey, take the kick.
I don't blame Miami for trying to put pressure on the punter. I mean, anything you can do here to disrupt timing in the early stages of this game, Dick, is very sound coaching in my estimation.
So the Dolphins offense takes the field. Richmond Webb, a Dallas native and one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Sims, Dellenbach, Widener, and Heller, another ex-Eagle. DeBerg in his 2nd start in Miami. Higgs had over 100 yards again rushing last week. Byers, another ex-Eagle. Pryor having a big season. Ingram, a giant a year ago, and Keith Jackson, a tight end. 3 wide. Terry Kirby, the rookie from Virginia, into the backfield. Tony Martin, the 3rd wideout. They start at the 34-yard line. The toss to Higgs, who was drafted by the Cowboys out of Kentucky, and he gets a couple. Tony Casillas in on the stop, number 75. Tolbert, Casillas, Maryland, and Haley, the front 4 for Dallas. Haley continues to harass quarterbacks. Edwards, Ken Norton playing with a torn bicep tendon is in the middle. Darren Smith, a rookie from Miami, moving into the starting lineup early this year. Kevin Smith and Larry Brown at the corners, and Woodson and Everett at safety. 2nd and 7 into the eyes of Norton, one of the Super Bowl heroes. DeBerg's first pass, and he goes to the tight end Jackson, protecting the ball. He's hit just shy of the first down by Norton and Woodson.
One of the things the Miami Dolphins have done, they've infused a little toughness into this football team from the NFC East, picking up all of these former Philadelphia Eagles, Jackson being probably the greatest asset. And when you see short little patterns like that, that's just Don Shula and Gary Stevens experimenting here. What can we do? They'll stretch it a little more, but we start out with just a 5 or 6 yard pattern for completion.
3rd down a yard.
Fake by DeBerg, one of the best at that, and wide open in the middle is Kirby, and he falls down, and while down, the ball is knocked free. No fumble, no fumble. He was already down. Darren Smith made the tackle, and there's the field, perhaps costing Miami a touchdown. Kirby was all alone, but couldn't hold his footing.
Good play action fake by Steve DeBerg. He's always done that throughout his career.